Hello, LexiWibers. Please remember to subscribe, like, and leave a comment.
And prepare yourself.
Yeah.
Because today we are not just reading a story.
No.
We are stepping into a forest that breathes hunger.
That is quite the opening. But honestly, looking at the stack of research in front of us, I don't think it's hyperbolic at all.
Not in the slightest.
Welcome back to another deep dive. Today, we have a fascinating and, frankly, a somewhat disturbing mission.
Mm-hmm.
We're taking two sources that represent, polar opposites of the human experience, and we are going to smash them together to see what breaks. We are looking at Hansel and Gretel.
But we're looking at it through a shattered lens. It's not the story you think you know.
Right. On the left side of the desk, we have source A. It's a transcript from a YouTube video, a channel called LexiWibe.
The Candy House Secret.
The Candy House Secret. It is bright, it is loud, and it is painfully cheerful. It's the version of the story we feed to toddlers.
Brave kids, magical treats, happy endings.
Exactly. It's what we might call the Disney-fied version, although this specific video seems, even more sugary than that.
It is the illusion of sweetness, as our other source calls it.
That's a great phrase for it.
It represents the safety of the nursery, the idea that everything will be okay.
And then on the right side, we have the counterweight. We have source B, which is this dense historical breakdown titled The Bitter Hunger, Unmasking the Real Hansel and Gretel.
And this one is not a storybook.
No, not at all. It's a forensic analysis of the 14th century. It talks about crop failures, societal collapse, and the psychology of starvation.
It is the reality behind the rhyme. And that is the mission of this deep dive, isn't it?
It is!
We're going to peel back those sugar-coated layers. The bright colors of the fairy tale are often just a mask, a psychological defense mechanism.
But what's underneath?
When you strip that away, what you find underneath isn't a treat. It is a record of desperation.
It's a massive contrast. The LexiWibe video literally calls the candy house the best dream ever. But our historical analysis suggests it was actually
Precisely.
Yeah.
It was never a gift.
No.
It was a trap. So shall we enter the woods?
Let's do it. Okay, let's unpack the LexiWibe version first. I really want to establish the baseline of what most of us, and certainly the kids watching this YouTube channel, think of when we hear this story.
The foundation of the illusion.
Exactly. The video starts with such high energy, the narrator is super excited, promising a huge adventure. It immediately frames the whole narrative as a safe thrill.
The super brave brother and sister.
Yeah, going into a deep, dark forest. But even the way they say that, it's not really deep or dark.
But look at how the danger is presented in that video source. The darkness is aesthetic.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
It's a backdrop for heroism, not a genuine threat to survival. It's like a theme park ride, right?
Totally.
You might scream when the coaster drops, but you know the safety bar is locked. You know you're getting off at the gift shop.
Right. And the setting itself is described as way, way deep inside a big, beautiful forest.
Not a scary forest.
No, a beautiful one. The trees are green, the birds are singing, it's idyllic. And we meet the family. A woodcutter, Hansel, and Gretel. The video transcript makes a specific point to say that even though they were poor, they were a really happy family.
And why were they happy?
Because they loved each other a whole lot.
And that is a crucial setup. It establishes a moral purity to the family unit. They are poor, but they are good. They are rich in love. This makes the tragedy that follows seem like an external force acting upon them rather than an internal collapse.
Right, it's something happening to them.
It assures the child listener that poor does not mean bad.
And that external force arrives in the form of the villain. The sweet mother passes away, which is, it's glossed over in about 2 seconds flat.
Of course. No time for grief.
And in comes the stepmother.
The classic antagonist, the intruder.
The video says she did not like Hansel and Gretel one bit. She is the disruption of that happy family dynamic.
She's the problem.
She's a problem. She's the one who goes to the father and says, "We don't have enough food for everyone." She demands he take the children into the forest and just leave them there.
So note the dynamic there. The stepmother is the architect of the evil plan.
100%.
She is the one pushing for abandonment. She is the active agent of malice. The father is passive.
And the father. The LexiWibe narrator really emphasizes that he was so sad.
Poor dad.
Yeah. He loved his children. He really, really didn't want to do it. But, he eventually complies. He takes them deep into the woods and just walks away.
He walks away. Even in the sanitized version, that image sticks, doesn't it? A parent walking away from their children in a dense forest.
It does. But the video pivots so fast to the adventure aspect to keep the mood light. It doesn't let you dwell on the abandonment for even a second.
No time for trauma.
Not at all. The kids are scared, they're hungry, their tummies are going rumble, rumble, which is such a cute way to put starvation.
It's adorable.
But then, salvation. They see the house. And this description is just wild. Walls of bread, roof of cake, and the windows are made of sparkly sweet candy.
It is a sensory overload. It is designed to be completely irresistible.
Yeah.
It appeals to the most basic, primal desire of a child. Sugar and safety.
And the kids react exactly how you'd expect. They think it's the best dream ever. They just start breaking off pieces to eat.
Pure wish fulfillment.
It's the ultimate fantasy, right? It's the idea that if you are lost, the world won't just save you, it will treat you to dessert.
It is the illusion of sweetness we mentioned in the intro. It's the promise that the world will provide for you, even when your parents won't.
But then the door creaks open, out steps the old woman. At first, she's all kindness, warm beds, yummy food.
The benevolent grandmother archetype.
Exactly. But then comes the reveal. She's a mean, nasty witch. She locks Hansel in a cage to fatten him up and forces Gretel to cook for him.
And there's the switch, from the kind grandmother figure to the predator.
But Gretel saves the day. The video calls her a very clever and a very, very brave little girl.
Of course, she's the hero.
She gets a ping of an idea. The narrator literally says ping. She tells the witch to check the oven, and when she leans over,
She pushes her in.
Slams the door shut, and poof, the witch is gone.
A clean victory. The evil is defeated instantly. No blood, no mess, no screaming.
And they get a reward. Of course they do. They find bags and bags of shiny gold and sparkly jewels.
The treasure at the end of the quest.
They run home, find their dad, who is so sorry, and gives them the tightest hug, and they find out the stepmother is gone. Just gone.
Convenient.
Very convenient. So they live happily ever after.
It is a perfect narrative circle, isn't it?
It's so tidy.
The family is restored, the poverty is solved by the gold, and the evil stepmother, the source of all the conflict, is just removed from the equation. No trauma, just a fun adventure with a big payoff.
Exactly. Yay, Gretel, hooray, as the video says. It's neat, it feels good. But looking at the bitter hunger source on the right side of the desk and looking at the notes you've made, that yay, Gretel feels incredibly hollow.
That is because it is a lie. A comfortable lie, but a lie nonetheless.
So it's time to switch gears.
It is. We need to move from the LexiWibe pleasantry to the bitter hunger reality.
Yeah.
We need to talk about the year 1315.
Okay, so this is where the tone shifts. We're leaving that beautiful candy-coated forest and entering real history.
The bitter hunger source anchors this story in a very specific, very real historical event. The Great Famine of 1315 to 1317.
And this wasn't just we're poor, like in the video.
Oh, no. This was a societal collapse. This is the end of the world for a lot of people.
The source mentions that for many, survival became a mathematical equation. That is a chilling phrase.
It is accurate. To understand this story, you have to understand the environment that birthed it. It wasn't just a bad harvest. It started with rain. In the spring of 1315, it began to rain in Europe, and it effectively didn't stop for months, for years in some places.
So everything was just waterlogged.
Everything. The crops rotted in the fields, wheat, oats, hay for the animals. Everything turned to mush. There was no food.
And in the 14th century, if the grain rots, society stops. There's no backup plan.
There is no backup plan. The price of food skyrocketed. The source mentions chronicles from the time. People were eating grass, they were eating tree bark, they were eating their seed grain.
Which is a death sentence for the next year.
It's a death sentence. It's choosing to live today by guaranteeing you'll starve tomorrow. This is the context of the woodcutter and his family. They aren't just poor, they were in the middle of a genuine apocalypse.
Okay, so that changes everything. In the video, the father leaves the children because a wicked stepmother bullies him into it, and he is so sad.
He's a victim.
Right. It frames him as a victim of his wife's cruelty. But history tells a much darker tale, doesn't it?
It does, and here's where it gets really interesting and deeply disturbing. The bitter hunger source argues pretty convincingly that the wicked stepmother was often a later addition to the story.
A later addition, what?
Correct. The source explains that this figure was likely added to protect the image of the biological mother. It's a narrative patch.
Make the story more palatable.
Exactly, because in the original oral traditions and in the grim reality of the 14th century, it wasn't an evil outsider forcing this decision.
It was the parents, The biological mother and the father.
It was a shared choice.
Yeah.
A horrific, but in their minds, logical choice. The source uses the phrase, eat or be eaten.
Wow.
When you're facing true starvation, the logic of survival can override the logic of love. Families had to calculate, literally calculate, how many mouths they could feed.
The mathematical equation.
The mathematical equation.
Yeah.
If they could feed everyone, they had to subtract the mouths that couldn't contribute. The youngest, the weakest.
That is horrifyingly pragmatic. So the abandonment wasn't a plot by a Disney villain. It was a strategy for survival.
It was a desperate, documented reality of the time. We like to think of the fairy tale as a metaphor, but the bitter hunger analysis suggests it is closer to a documentary of that era than we would ever like to admit.
So the father didn't just walk away because he was weak-willed.
He walked away because he was choosing his own survival and his wife's survival over his offspring's. He was making a calculated decision.
That reframes the entire first act of the story. It isn't a sad dad manipulated by a harpy. It's a calculated disposal of surplus family members.
And that leads us to the most difficult realization of this deep dive. The LexiWibe video asks, can you imagine? Regarding the father leaving them. The horror is that for people in 1315, they didn't have to imagine. They lived it.
Yeah.
It brings us to the raw reality of abandoning children.
That silence is heavy. It's hard to sit with that.
It is. But we must, if we want to understand the source material, we have to understand that the forest breeds hunger because the people entering it were already hollowed out by it. They were shells.
And that hunger, that desperation, it leads them to the house. In the video, it's sparkly, sweet candy. It's magic.
It's a miracle.
Right. But our expert source, the bitter hunger, calls it something else entirely. It calls it the ultimate human taboo.
Let's really think about what that house represents. It is food. Limitless, free food in a time of absolute starvation.
Not just food, but the best food imaginable.
The video says the walls were bread and the roof was cake. To a starving child in the Great Famine, that isn't just a treat. That is life itself. It is a hallucination of salvation. It's too good to be true.
And it is too good to be true. The source says the witch's eyes gleam with a hunger that isn't for bread.
And this is where we have to deconstruct the villain. The witch isn't a magical anomaly from another dimension. She is a mirror.
What do you mean a mirror?
She represents the extreme end of the starvation spectrum. She's what happens when you go one step further than the parents did. The parents abandoned their children to save themselves. The witch consumes children to save herself.
So the source explicitly links her to
cannibalism, yes.
It says that reports of people consuming the deceased were terrifyingly common during the famine years.
The witch is the personification of the hunger. She isn't eating children because she is a generic cackling monster from a storybook. She is eating them because, in the brutal context of the famine, meat is meat.
That puts the candy house in a whole new light. It's not magic. It's a lure.
It's a processing facility.
Oh, God. Like an anglerfish in the deep sea, the pretty light that draws you in before the jaws snap shut.
It is the trap. And the source makes a very specific point about that mathematical equation of survival. The witch represents what happens when you cross the line. When you break the social contract so completely that other human beings are no longer people. They're just calories.
And the LexiWibe video mentions Hansel being locked in a cage. It says the witch wanted to make him nice and fat. In the cartoon version, it's almost goofy, like, oh no, he's going to get chubby.
Right. It's played for laughs.
But when you apply the bitter hunger lens,
it becomes horrific dehumanization.
Yeah.
The source points this out very clearly. Hansel is treated like livestock.
Yeah.
He is caged and fattened. This reflects the total breakdown of society. When the famine is deep enough, a child stops being a human being with a name and a soul. He starts being a commodity, a resource.
It's the brutal dehumanization that happens when a society collapses, as the source puts it.
Exactly. And this leads us to the ultimate taboo, the one that the sugarcoating exists to hide. The source demands we confront the historical reality of cannibalism.
It feels like the LexiWibe version, the best dream ever, is trying so hard to cover up that specific silence we just held. It's screaming to distract you from that word.
That is the function of the fairy tale today, to sugarcoat the trauma of the past. The LexiWibe transcript is full of yummy food and cozy warm beds and sparkly jewels. It is trying to bury the memory of the cage in the oven. It is trying to tell us that the world is safe when the historical record screams that it was not.
Speaking of the oven, let's talk about Gretel. Because in the YouTube video, this is her big moment. Yay, Gretel, hooray!
Her hero moment.
Right. She has that ping of an idea. It's presented as this pure triumph of cleverness, a little girl outsmarting a clumsy, evil adult.
A moment of empowerment. She takes control.
She pushes the witch in, saves her brother, and everyone is supposed to cheer. But the bitter hunger source views this very, very differently.
It calls this moment the symbolic death of her childhood.
Wow. Not a victory, but a death.
Think about the action. Truly, physically think about what she does. She isn't just tricking someone at a game of wits. She is pushing a living person into a lit oven and slamming the door.
And holding it shut.
She listens to that person burn to death.
When you put it that way, it's not exactly Disney, is it? It's something else entirely.
The source argues that to survive the darkness of the woods, to survive the witch, who is the ultimate embodiment of that darkness, Gretel had to change. She had to become as cold as the one who tried to cook them.
So by killing the witch, she absorbs some of that darkness. It's not a clean win.
It's a transformation through trauma. You cannot perform an act of brutal, intimate violence like that and remain the happy child from the beginning of the story. It's impossible.
So when the video says she was very, very brave,
the historical analysis suggests she was traumatized. She did what was necessary to survive, but the cost was her softness, her innocence. She entered that oven room as a child, and she left as a killer.
And what about the reward, the treasure? The LexiWibe video is obsessed with this part. Bags and bags of shiny gold and sparkly jewels. It's the ticket out of poverty. It makes everything better.
In the video, it's a reward for bravery. It's the universe balancing the scales. You were good, you defeated evil, so here is your prize.
But I'm guessing the bitter hunger has a different take.
It recontextualizes this treasure brutally. It calls it blood money.
The price of their stolen innocence.
Exactly. I mean, where did the witch get that gold?
From the other children.
From the other children, the ones who didn't push her in the oven. Hansel and Gretel aren't bringing home wealth they earned through heroism. They're bringing home the plunder from a house of death.
So they are returning to the parents who abandoned them.
Carrying the spoils of the very trauma they endured. It's not a happy reunion, it's a confrontation.
Which leads us to the ending. The LexiWibe video wraps it all up with a perfect bow. They find the father, he gives them the tightest hug. He says, "I'm so, so sorry."
The apology that fixes everything.
The stepmother is gone. They have food. They have money. They live happily ever after. The end.
It's the false resolution. It is the lie we tell ourselves so we can sleep at night.
Because the bitter hunger source questions this deeply. It asks, and this question is just haunting, can you ever truly go back after what happened in that oven?
Let's consider the psychology for a second. You are the father. You abandoned your children to die in the woods because you wanted to eat their share of the bread.
You made a choice.
You made a choice.
Yeah.
They return, not as the innocent children you left, but looking different, harder. They are holding gold, and they have killed a woman in an oven. Can you really just have a tightest hug and move on?
No way.
The power dynamic is completely shifted.
And from the kid's perspective, you are hugging the man who walked away. You are hugging the man who did the math and decided you were a remainder to be discarded. How can that trust ever be rebuilt?
Precisely. The LexiWibe version says the family was really happy again.
Yeah.
The historical reality suggests a house built on silence and repressed horror.
Yeah.
The children now hold the power, they have the gold, and the father has to live with the shame and the knowledge of what they've become.
The source has this line that just sticks with you. The sugar has melted, the witch is ash, but the memory of the hunger remains.
That is the lingering horror. That's the real ghost in the story. You can burn the witch, you can eat the food, you can spend the gold, but you can never unknow what you are capable of when you are starving.
And you can never unknow that your parents are capable of leaving you to die.
That is the wound that never heals.
It really changes how you see the candy house. It's not just a set piece in an adventure. The source asks us to reflect. Is the candy shop a gift or is it a trap?
And in the context of the 14th century, and perhaps even now, the answer is clear. If something looks too sweet, too perfect, too easy,
it's probably bait.
It is likely bait. The forest is always hungry.
That is a chilling thought to leave us with. I mean, we started with a huge adventure and a happy family.
And a house made of cake.
And we ended up with blood money, systemic famine, and the ashes of innocence.
It is the difference between the stories we tell our children to comfort them and the stories history tells us about who we really are. One is a lullaby, the other is a warning.
Well, this has been an incredible journey through two very, very different worlds. We have gone from the cheerful, almost manic LexiWibe enthusiasm to the cold, hard reality of the Great Famine.
It serves as a powerful reminder, I think, that behind every happily ever after, there is often a struggle for survival that we have chosen collectively to forget.
Absolutely. And speaking of descending into different worlds, our source material actually teases our next topic.
Yes. It seems we are leaving the forest, but we are not going to safety. Not by long shot.
Where are we going?
We are preparing to descend into the holes of a very different, very mad world. Wonderland.
Oh, I cannot wait to unpack that one. The sources on that are something else. But for now, we have reached the end of this deep dive.
We have.
Thanks for listening, Lexi Wibers. Please let us know your thoughts. See you soon.